Good to harmless, Big Gay Al. Picture it, a man whose entire existence is a walking, singing pride parade. Big Gay Al is the guy who rescues gay dogs, teaches tolerance with the energy of a cracked-out Disney mascot, and still manages to be less creepy than your uncle who collects Funko Pops. He's basically the Jesus Christ of fabulous acceptance, except instead of turning water into wine, he turns small-town bigotry into awkward sing-alongs.
Bombs are flying, people are dying, children are crying, politicians are lying too. Cancer is killing.
Sure, his shtick is so sugary it makes your teeth hurt, but in South Park, that makes him saint-level good. He's so aggressively positive you'd want to kick him in the face after 5 minutes. He stays untouched by the chaos around him, because nobody wants to be the who beats up the guy who just saved a gay dog from Butters. Butters is good in the way a Labrador puppy is good. He's innocent, loyal, and stupid enough to eat his own vomit. The kid's been grounded more times than America has invaded oil-rich countries, and yet he still smiles through it like a clueless Stepford child.
I want no playing, no reading, and no thinking about fun stuff. You are being grounded.
He's naive to the point where you could tell him Santa Claus runs a cockfighting ring, and he'd ask if he could join. But here's the kicker. Every time he tries to be bad, like his Professor Chaos phase, it's the weakest villain arc since Jared from Subway got cancelled. His goodness is annoying, his gullibility gets him destroyed, and the consequence is he's permanently trapped as South Park's sacrificial lamb. Karen McCormick. Karen is Kenny's little sister, the kid who wanders through life like she's permanently waiting for Child Protective Services to call her name. She's sweet, innocent, and doomed. She makes Kenny's sacrifices mean something, since he's always dying to keep her safe. She's the one glimpse of uncorrupted childhood left in that dumpster fire of a family. She's barely around enough to show depth. She floats in neutral limbo, the girl South Park protects only when the plot remembers she exists. Jimmy Valmer. Jimmy is the stand-up comic who tells jokes so bad you'd think he stole his material from a fortune cookie factory, but he delivers them with the unshakable confidence of Dave Chappelle. Jimmy is the disabled kid with crutches who somehow manages to roast his entire class while also being the nicest guy in town. He proves that a stutter and a limp don't stop you from annihilating bullies with a punchline. Jimmy embodies resilience. Every time life slaps him down, he gets back up and tells a boner joke. Sometimes the jokes hit so hard they make the other kids question whether they're laughing with him or because they're terrible people. Timmy Birch. Timmy, on the other hand, is pure chaos. He's a kid with a vocabulary limited to Timmy and Jimmy, yet somehow manages to express more warmth than most adults on the show. He tends to ride into every scene like a rock star, yelling his own name like he's announcing the second coming of Christ. His presence alone forces everyone around him to show whether they're cruel or actual human beings. He's accidentally terrifying. Put him behind the wheel of a wheelchair with boosters, and he turns into Mad Max with a smile. Kenny. Kenny is good if you measure good by how many times you'll let yourself die horribly just so your friends can laugh. He's the eternal crash test dummy of the show, dying in every possible way. Crushed, burned, impaled, and even killed by boredom watching Terrence and Philip. And yet, Kenny is actually one of the most selfless characters. He protects his sister, he endures poverty that makes Oliver Twist look bougie, and he still shows up every day to hang out with his friends who treat him like a free body bag. His poverty makes him the punchline of everything. He becomes Death's favorite chew toy while the town collectively shrugs. Whatever, he'll be back next week. Flawed but decent. Stan. Stan is the normal one, which in South Park means he's just slightly less insane than the rest. He's basically the audience's moral compass, except that compass is broken and covered in vomit. He calls out hates phoniness, and every other episode has a speech about, I learned something today, basically turning into a 12-year-old Dr. Phil. But here's the dark twist. Stan's goodness is fueled by cynicism. He's constantly depressed, sees through the hypocrisy of adults, and still gets stuck in situations where his dad becomes Lord. The flaw? He can't escape the stupidity around him. He's destined to be the only sane person in a town where sanity gets you trampled by cows or possessed by man-bear-pig. Kyle Broflovsky. Kyle is basically South Park's unpaid public defender, except instead of a law degree, he's got a Jufro and a permanent migraine from dealing with Cartman. He's the one kid dumb enough to think facts and logic matter in a town where people literally worship a talking piece of poop. Most of the time, he's screaming, "That's not fair!" while the rest of the town is halfway through a lynch mob. Kyle's the only one who will stand nose to nose with Cartman's sociopathic ass and actually win sometimes, though his victories usually cost him his sanity and at least 3 ulcers.
Let this be our final battle.
Kyle's temper is hotter than a red-hot Cheeto dipped in sriracha. He'll blow up so fast he'll tank his own moral high ground just to call Cartman a fat for the 900th time. Kyle's basically the kid who would have been a Supreme Court justice if he didn't live in South Park. Instead, he's stuck fighting anti-Semitism in the cafeteria and watching his best friend's dad become a pop star named Lord. Sharon Marsh. Sharon is basically the town's designated mom who tries. She's eternally cleaning up Randy's while covering up her kids' crimes like she's auditioning for Breaking Bad PTA edition. She tends to be the one parent with a shred of common sense until Randy drags her into another tequila-fueled scheme. She shows what happens when loyalty becomes self-destruction. She's complicit in half the town's insanity. Stan's therapy bills triple every time. Shelley Marsh. Shelley is the older sister who'd punch you in the throat for breathing wrong. She's Stan's personal executioner and occasional savior. She terrorizes her little brother while still curb-stomping anyone else who tries. Shelley proves that abuse can still coexist with genuine protection. She does have a hair-trigger rage that makes Cartman look stable. Selfish, hypocritical, or neutral. Towley. Towley is a literal towel who exists to remind viewers that Trey and Matt were once extremely high. Towley is a sentient piece of cloth with tolerance of Snoop Dogg and the usefulness of a wet sock. He tends to derail every plot by asking, "Wanna get high?"
You wanna get high?
No, we don't want to get high.
Okay. You sure?
Yes, go away, stupid town.
He's somehow the most relatable addict in South Park, falling apart but still giving heartfelt advice in between bong hits. He's high 99% of the time. He oscillates between life coach and rag you'd use to clean a toilet. PC principal. This guy thinks he's fighting for justice, but really, he's a frat bro who weaponized wokeness like it's a shotgun. He's the embodiment of every Twitter reply guy who screams problematic while secretly jerking off. PC principal beats people up in the name of sensitivity, which is like curing alcoholism by throwing people into a brewery.
You don't want to end up like the spokesman for Subway, do you?
Did you just use a term that excludes women from an occupation?
Okay, let's back up. Ah!
He matters because he exposes how fake moral superiority actually works. You say you're protecting people, but really, you're just flexing your muscles in khakis. He's trapped in the same hypocrisy he polices. He terrorizes the school with microaggression seminars while acting like a roid-raging Hulk Hogan in pastel polo shirts. Randy Marsh. Randy is the human version of a midlife crisis strapped to a keg. He's Stan's dad, but also singer Lord, farmer, and a guy who once fought an entire baseball league because he was blackout drunk.
You better shut your mouth before I shut it for you! What do you want to do, huh?
He shows that adulthood is basically just one bad decision after another, but louder. Randy is both the funniest and most destructive man in town, a walking PSA on why dads shouldn't get hobbies. He's selfish to the point of apocalyptic. Every time Randy gets an idea, the entire town prepares for FEMA to roll in with body bags. Sliding into evil. Heidi Turner, post-transformation. Post-Cartman. Heidi is like watching a Care Bear get possessed by a demon. She becomes the cautionary tale of what happens when you date South Park's most evil child.
You dip your french fries in the sweet and sour sauce?
Yeah, it's the best, dude. Try it.
She shows how manipulation can turn kindness into cruelty. She went from sweet, empathetic girl to screaming, bitter husk in one season flat. She let Cartman hollow her out like a jack-o'-lantern. Heidi became so toxic she could have run for student body president and won purely on hate votes. Mr. Garrison. Mr. Garrison is the teacher who went from closeted homophobe to openly gay to trans to president of the United States, and then back again like identity was a clearance sale at Walmart.
I am not a good person for the White House. I am not a good person, period.
He acts as a satire sponge who absorbs every political moment and spits it back out as a character arc. He tends to mock hypocrisy so blatantly that it makes you uncomfortable. He's a mirror for America, unstable, contradictory, and horny at the worst times. He will sell out literally anyone if it gets him 5 seconds of power or validation. One season, he's ranting about social justice. The next, he's running ice camps. And somehow, both are believable. Leanne Cartman. Leanne is the mother who makes the toddlers and Tiara's moms look strict. She's the most permissive parent alive, willing to buy Eric a theme park just to avoid saying no. She explains why Cartman is Cartman, because she raised a sociopath by treating him like a prince. Every Cartman atrocity has Leanne's fingerprints on it, even if she's too busy offering someone a hand job to notice. She's so indulgent that she could spoil milk. Leanne is forever trapped between trying to be a loving mom and enabling the spawn of Satan. Actively malicious, Scott Tenorman. Scott Tenorman is the kid who thought he was slick selling Cartman his own pubes, and accidentally sped his way into becoming the reason chili cook-offs are now considered a war crime. He's a smug little whose whole role was to humiliate Cartman. His arrogance triggered the single darkest moment in South Park history. Cartman killing Scott's parents, grinding them up, and feeding them to him in a bowl of chili while blasting Radiohead in the background.
Oh my God! I made you eat your parents.
He underestimated just how evil Cartman could go. Scott isn't just a bad kid, he's the cautionary tale of why you never prank the sociopath with a stuffed animal collection. Mr. and Mrs. McCormick. Kenny's parents make Shameless look like Full House. They are a pair of alcoholic, neglectful, child-abusing disasters who treat parenting like it's a punishment from God. They show what absolute rock bottom looks like when raising kids. Every time Kenny dies, you remember his parents would have let it happen anyway. They care more about booze and drugs than their children's survival. Not sure whether Kenny grows up either a superhero, Mysterian, or a corpse, while Karen is one CPS visit away from starring in a Sarah McLachlan commercial. Pure evil. Cartman. Eric Theodore Cartman is pure evil condensed into 4 feet of racist fat. He's a sociopath who fed a kid his own parents in chili and still had time to call Kyle a goddamn Jew for dessert.
Because Butters isn't a total dick to me.
I have never been a dick to you.
Oh, please. All you ever do is call me names and rip on me for being Jewish.
Cartman isn't just bad, he's every awful human impulse turned into a single, waddling monster. He manipulates, schemes, and cries like a baby whenever life doesn't let him commit genocide. Why does he matter? Because he shows us the uncomfortable truth. People like Cartman actually exist, they just don't usually have an unlimited supply of cheesy poofs. He's brilliant but lazy, so half his evil plots collapse because he's too busy eating cheesy poofs. Everyone suffers, and somehow he still gets away with it, because in South Park, evil doesn't just win, it eats your parents and sings about it. Do you know all the ways South Park humiliates ICE? To find out more, click here.